With me right now is a newcomer to Haverhill politics, and we're talking to Mr. Michael Shurman. Welcome to the program, Michael.
Thank you.
You are running for a seat on the Haverhill School Committee, correct?
Yes, I am.
Can you give us a little bit about your history or background?
I was born and raised a Brocktonian, and one of the jobs I had while I was in school was I was a liaison to the high school for the school committee, and I would report back to the students to see what they thought. I couldn't vote on anything, but at least I was able to get the word out that, hey, this is what's coming, you better be ready for it.
So you're the advance man, so to speak.
He is.
You know, a liaison in Brockton Votech for the Brockton School Committee. You got a feel for that, essentially, so that you'd like to go ahead and apply that benefit to the Haverhill School Committee, what you might be able to do there.
Absolutely.
Any particular initiatives, especially that you think you'd like to see implemented if you're elected to a member of the school committee?
One of my platform, I'm going to say platform piece, is people and the teachers in the school department are not taking ESL serious.
English as a second language?
Absolutely. And the reason why I'm seeing it is because 1 out of 5 children in the country only speak English. Everybody else speaks a native language. My thought is if we can take 5%, 10% of the students in ESL and merge them into English-speaking classes, because they need to know in their classes how to do things. And the way they need to know is by speaking English.
That's immersion you're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay.
It's the old expression, you can pay me now or you can pay me later in that situation. So that's one thing I'd like to see implemented if we could.
In your experience, in your previous position that you happened to be in, you had a lot of experience with English as a second language, and how did that work? What you discovered that people needed to be able to become in immersion so that they are able to master the capability of communication as quickly as possible?
It doesn't have to be as quick, but when the teacher feels the student's ready, and let's get them into an English-speaking class, whether it's math, history, science, doesn't matter. But we need to immerse them into it so they can pick up the language.
Well, let me ask you this. In many cases, there's the aspect in education in the classroom of inclusion, okay? And when you're doing something of that type, there are some pros and cons on that, because they say when you're trying to be as inclusive, excuse me, as inclusive as possible, that may slow the momentum down of the entire class rather than have it go forward. How do you feel about something of that type?
That would bother me to a point, but what I'm looking for is maybe the top 5% of the class that are ready to go into English-speaking classes. I'm not saying 50%, 100%, a small amount, and let's see if it works or not.
How did you what are the other things you're involved in previously that you'd like to bring your expertise to, is to reduce the dropout rate?
Yes.
And that, you say, was done dramatically in Brockton. What tools would you bring with you, and what would those tools be to implement in the Haverhill system?
Well, the teachers at Brockton High, God love them, they didn't just study for the MCAS. They made sure that they got all their classes in and not just study after school on the MCAS. Because even if you don't get the MCAS test and you pass it, you don't pass it rather, you still get a high school diploma. And to me, that means the world, because it takes, I mean, you're looking at 4 years and there's a 7.6% dropout rate here in Haverhill. My thing is, I'd like to know, one, what the previous amount was before it went to 7.6. And like you said, how did the school committee do it? I haven't found out, and no one's willing to tell me.
What do you think some of the elements are in reducing the dropout rate? Is it the connection they make with the students? Is it just having a totally different environment for those particular students? I mean, I don't know. What is it?
I think if you could, how do I put it? They need things to do in the school system, in the schools themselves. whether it's and I'm sure, I know there's a good ratio of mother to children, and why not set up let's say a nursery? Because you have in the school of Oak Tech a health services shop.
Right.
So they would be able to just come in, take care of the students while the mother is going through school. And I think that would be a big help, because I don't think it's just the men who are dropping out. I think it has to do with the women more than the men because of children.
You know, we take a look at some of the other things, and one of the key things that you, in your platform to discuss, is to try to help eliminate bullying in school. And that has not been really talked about, say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but it has been in the past 5 years.
Yes.
And it's a big subject, and that may be part of the reasoning for some people as to why they do happen to drop out of school, because they're intimidated, and it's not really enough of a learning environment for them. Can you tell us what remedies would you have, or how do you go ahead and deal with the bullying issues in school?
Well,
how do you stop it before it starts?
You need to teach, and the teachers need to teach the children, the students, what needs to be done in a bullying situation. Mm-hmm. They have, the schools have fire drills. Well, why can't we have bullying drills in the school? Because they have peer counselors, one-on-one, to help them. The other thing I plan on doing, or I'd like to do, is in the city of Brockton, we used to have bullying, not just in the school, but outside the school. There were so many fights. Mm-hmm. And what we did was, we talked to the Parent Teachers Association. We got them to put a piece of cardboard with a lady's shadow on it. What that meant was, that's a safe house. If you're getting beat up, you can go to that house and stay there, and no one can get at you, and either your parents could pick you up, or possible, the parent who is the safe house could take you home.
So that's it. So you've got a mechanism to try to deal with it.
Yes.
But then once that you keep that person safe, what do you do, and how do you go after the bully that started the problem?
Well, it would have to be on a one case-to-case basis.
Sure.
Personally, I may want to suspend the children that are in the bullying situation until there's a deep investigation into why, how did it happen, why did it happen, and what do we need to teach the bullier to stop.
Oftentimes, you're dealing with education. We've got probably less than a minute right now, but in education, there's the core of what you want the student to be able to learn, but sometimes the teacher has to get through all kinds of distractions in order to get that student to absorb what you're trying to have them learn. One of my questions is, some people talk about dress codes, you know, because people are very enamored with maybe how they're dressing, what style you happen to have, rather than if everybody had a certain degree of uniformity in dark slacks or skirts and a white blouse or shirt, then it doesn't matter what brand you have. Is it trendy, is it not? Because now you're all equal. Now you can distinguish yourself by how you learn.
True.
I mean, I'm asking that question. You in favor of something at that time?
I'd be in favor of it if it was able to, let's say, the first graders wear, all the first graders wear this type of clothes. The second graders wear this, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the
sixth. At least it's a
sixth.
start, but they can distinguish from one another.
Exactly. And if there's a problem, they can bring it up to the teacher.
Well,
You
fair
know.
enough. Michael Shurman, running for your first time as Haverhill School Committee, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.